So with this particular technology now that's being used, let's say, for example, you're an organization and your customer facing group between salespeople and customer service people, let's say that number is right around 40 people. That seems to be kind of the sweet spot, as I understand it, for the Ring CX. Now, it can do hundreds of people, of course, but there's probably more cost sensitivity to the smaller organization that would cause them to pass on going to full contact center functionality, right? Where many times you see the cutting board between a UC product, unified communications. People call it still a phone system, kind of funny, because it's got so much more, right? But ultimately that cutting board between, we'll say $20 or $25 per user for like a fully featured unified communications, and a contact center, which could be $100 to $200 per seat, especially if you have quality management in there and it's got AI capabilities. That's a big stretch. But if we're taking that and taking a big chunk out of the cost of the contact center, then that group that is that 40 person unit can be on the same technology and all be working through having the same benefit of that automated call distribution, the IVR, the Omnichannel, the integration into the Salesforce or the Dynamics, the open APIs. It seems like it's a no-brainer for that smaller organization.
Yeah, and the pricing model for RingSense for sales and RingSense for CX are different. But when you look at, let's say, RingSense for sales, list price, I believe, is $60 per sales rep. When you think about if I can improve my sales reps' performance by, let's say, close 5% more deals out of my pipeline, what does that mean in terms of bottom line revenue? And you compare that to the cost investment you make in the tool to make that happen. It's again very easy to justify that ROI.
Yeah.
RingSense for CX is list price is $25 an agent. So when you add that to the standard licensing for Ring CX, which is $75 for named agents, so $100 all in for RingSense and Ring CX. And again, if I'm improving my customer satisfaction numbers, again, you alluded to that replacing an existing customer, is much more expensive acquiring a new customer than it is to keep an existing one happy. And the stats showing how easy it is to lose a customer is staggering. I've seen numbers anywhere from 1 or 2 negative interactions causing a 60% loss of customers, and I've seen the number jump to above 90 for up to 2 to 3 negative interactions. So many companies have competition, and consumers just don't have the patience to put up with bad or poor customer service.
Yeah.
So again, if I'm investing in better tools to make my agents more productive, better at handling the customer interactions, it results in keeping those customers, which then directly impacts my revenue, because 3/4 of most companies' revenue come from existing customers.
That's right.
They're cheaper. It's cheaper to keep them happy than it is to replace them.
And I think that's always that's a consistent metric, but it's more profound today in the fact that people are having a harder time acquiring net new business. And so anything that hits you in terms of existing customer churn is absolutely impactful to the organization.
Yeah, and I think it's incumbent on companies to look at how they invest in the technology to improve individual performance for either sales reps or customer service reps. Because again, investing in your people, keeping them from leaving, keeping your customers from leaving, closing more business, all have direct impact on your company's revenue. And so being willing to invest in the technology that can help you improve in these areas is it's an easy thing to justify. And I think it also means that companies need to rethink how they measure agent productivity and performance. Because in a contact center for support, it's usually the metrics like average handle time, wait time in queue, abandon rate, and those things are used to measure whether or not the team is performing well. And of course, a lot of companies, they don't want to add additional resources to handle higher call volumes, so they want to drive handle times down.
Correct.
Well, does that mean you're really solving the customer's problem if you're trying to get them off the phone earlier? Or how do I empower my agents to make sure that they can really handle that interaction on the first call and do it effectively. And then, like we talked about previously with Eric, when you talk to him, AI can help offload some of those mundane, repetitive calls and contacts using AI.
Yes.
Allows the agents to now spend more time to really take care of the customer well. And then RingSense provides that feedback loop so that now you can make sure that people are performing to expectations, and that we're training them properly and arming them with the right information.
Yeah. I think average handle time, you bring up some really good points there, that metrics like that in the contact center they're not ultimate metrics, they're penultimate metrics. They provide some insights, predictive insights into where things are going. But to try and wrangle that particular metric to the ground, I think sometimes causes more disruption than it solves. And so if you look at that net promoter score, if you look at CSAT, if you look at retention, customer retention overall, along with those satisfaction scores, I think those are the ultimate measures that you're really looking for, because when you're trying to fulfill the objectives of the C-suite, for them it's revenue growth, it's gross margin, it's EBITDA, it's all of these types of measures that they're thinking about. They're not thinking about average handle time. And you can get fairly myopic when you focus on some of these measures internally. And I think a lot of bad decisions come from it, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I think unintended consequences happen a lot when you're focused on those, what I call them trailing indicators of performance, right? And it's not really a measure of performance. It's just giving you some information about things at a very abstract level.
Yes.
And if you focus too much on it, you lose sight of the things that the C-suite really cares about, which is really making profit.
Indeed.